Welcome back to Eyes Wide, the podcast, where we talk about what it takes to succeed, grow, and dominate in sales, leadership, and life. I'm Craig Palmer, and today's episode is one that will challenge a lot of people, maybe even piss some of you off, and I'm okay with that because today we're talking about something that almost nobody takes seriously enough: preparation. Now, here's the hard truth. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. You see, most reps, whether in sales or in even job interviews, are walking into critical conversations totally unprepared. And I don't mean that they didn't print their resumes or they forgot to bring a leave behind. I mean, they have no idea what good prep actually looks like. Worse, some of them are actually hitting quota or exceeding quota, and they think that that makes them exempt. But they're not. They're just leaving massive revenue, influence, and momentum on the table. So with that, let's jump right in. Picture this. A rep walks into a busy doctor's office. They barely glance at the schedule ahead of time. They don't know where this practice refers to, what the practice referral patterns are. They haven't prepped competitive positioning, and they're leading with a brochure. They pitch, the doctor nods, maybe says, okay, I'll think about it, but nothing changes. The rep leaves and calls that a good meeting, a good sales call. But that wasn't a meeting. That was a waste of time. Because preparation is what earns you the right to influence. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that again. It's the preparation that earns you the right to influence. And if you walk in unprepared, you're not influencing. You're just hoping. Unprepared reps don't get a no. They get indifference. And that is so much worse. Now let's shift gears. Same issue, different setting. Let's talk about people that are not preparing for interviews. Now, I coach job seekers every week through Eyes Wide interviewing. Some of them are talented, charismatic, even very experienced, but they keep losing. And I'll tell you why. It's because they prepare like amateurs. They prepare like absolute rookies to this game. They memorize answers instead of creating a story. And I have repeated over and over and over again how important it is to leave someone with a story to remember. Otherwise, they're just factoids and bullet points that will be forgotten the minute you walk out of that door. So one, they memorize answers instead of creating a story. 2, they forget to research the hiring manager. And 3, they can't articulate why this company, why this role, and why right now. Instead of creating confidence, they create doubt. Even if they have the chops, they come across unsure, forgettable. Preparation isn't about sounding perfect. It's about showing that you care enough to do the damn work ahead of time. That's what preparation does for you. You want to talk athletes? Let's talk athletes. Steph Curry, I talk about all the time. Steph Curry takes 1,000 practice shots before the official practice even starts. Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, used to show up at 4 a.m. in the morning, train, go home, eat, and come back before his teammates even arrive for that first practice. Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning watched more game film than most defensive coordinators. He watched more game film than most head coaches. That is why he was always so prepared. Tom Brady, Mr. Ice in his veins, Tom Brady memorized the game plan so deeply that he could anticipate defensive shifts before the ball was even snapped. That level of obsession isn't talent. It's preparation. You want to talk actors? Everyone loves the movies. Let's talk actors. Do you think Denzel Washington shows up and wings it? No, 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 no. He knows his lines. He knows his character. That he knows his character's motivation. He prepares so deeply that he begins to think like that character. There is no separation between what would Denzel do and what would this character do. They are one and the same because they are prepared. That's what professionals do. When you hear the term, that girl is a pro or that guy is a pro, it's because they know how to prepare. So then I ask you, why are you, whether it be a sales rep, a business owner, a candidate, why are you walking into a mission critical moment of your life with just a few bullet points and vibes and not putting in the work to get you prepared? Now, for those of you that know, I also like to do public speaking. I've delivered a few keynotes, and let me tell you how I prepare for a keynote. If I'm delivering a 20-minute talk, I spend 30 to 40 hours getting ready for it. I write it, I rewrite it, I time it, I record it, I listen back, I adjust the tone, I adjust the pacing, I adjust the transitions, I test it and test it and test it. Why? Because I respect the moment. I respect and appreciate the opportunity. If you're not preparing like that, ask yourself this question. Is your call, is your meeting, is your opportunity, is your life any less important? The answer is no. I hope to God it's no. So prepare. Prepare like it is the most important opportunity of your life. Because otherwise, you're just underestimating what you're actually capable of. Now let's talk about the crutch that most sales reps lean on. Relationships. The R word. Relationship selling. I've got news for you. Relationship selling is not selling. It's maintaining. Hell, it's actually begging. It's staying in someone's orbit long enough to hope that they throw you a bone. That's not winning. That's not thriving. That's not selling. That's not building. That is what makes reps soft. Having great relationships isn't the issue. It's how you leverage those relationships that matters. You build a market by thinking strategically, by preparing intelligently, and by moving with intent. Not by golfing with someone and praying they send you a case. Your network isn't your safety net. It's your starting point. Do something with it. And I know what you're thinking. Those of you that have been in sales a long time, especially those of you that have been in medical device sales for a very long time, you're thinking to yourself, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Of course, relationships. Relationships are king. That is why I'm so awesome, because of the relationships I have. Let me tell you something. I've been there. I've had great relationships. But those relationships aren't going to define your ability to sell. Those relationships are not going to define your ability to do something extraordinary. Doing something extraordinary is going to require you preparing extraordinarily. Now, let me share with you an actual story that happened while I was working with a rep in the field. There is no bullshit here, by the way. This happened. Now, for those of you that may not know, I was involved with launching an implantable cardiovascular device in the heart failure space. This wasn't going in and asking a surgeon to use our widget instead of somebody else's. This was true ground level, grassroots market creation and then market development. This took a special type, people that were truly on their game and never assumed that they had it all dialed in and figured out. The minute you lost your curiosity for improvement, you were dead and gone. I went to work with a rep known for his extensive relationships. He was hired based on his ability to get meetings going for our benefit before he even fully joined our organization at the time. And he did pretty well out of the gates, but after a few months, his growth kind of halted and his revenue plateaued. So I wanted to go out there and see how he was doing and what was going on. He picks me up from the train station and he's got this huge smile on his face. He's just so excited. He was ready to show me how great of a job he was doing and how amazing his area was. Now, as we drove to our first meeting, he talked about all of the amazing things that were in process and soon to come. But I was really more interested in what was happening here and now and what we can do in these next few weeks, months to truly move the needle. So we parked and started to walk right into the physician's practice. Now, before we opened the clinic door, I asked him who we were seeing. And he let me know the doctor's name. And the way he said it, he really said it as if I should know who this was. And then I should be very impressed with the fact that we were going to see him. So then I asked the rep if the doctor knew that we were coming. And the rep responded, "Oh, no. I just walked right in." And I said, "Oh, that's great. So what are we going to talk about today?" And the rep responded with the name of our device. So, okay, that's kind of general, isn't it? And I could see that smile starting to disappear from his face. And I could tell he was starting to feel a little bit less impressed with himself than he was earlier. So I wanted to let him off the hook with the question. So I changed it to, what does great look like for this meeting? Like, what is going to make you and I high five one another when we walk out of here? And there's silence. And then I said, "Well, what did you talk about last time?" He responded with, "Well, finding patients to get implanted with product X." And, mentioned our product name again. And so I fully let him off the hook at this point, and we just walked right in. I was introduced to the doctor, and he thanked me for stopping by. And then he said how highly he thinks of the rep and our product. And that was the extent of our sales call. As we got back in the car, I could tell the rep was starting to withdraw quite a bit. So I wanted to lighten the air. I mentioned what a great guy that doctor was. It was really amazing to meet him. That was a highlight. And I said, and it was impressive how highly he thought of you to the rep, because I wanted to start the rep to get some of that moxie back in his step. So I asked him where we were going next. And I was told another name that evidently I should be very, very impressed with. Now, while launching this new therapy, I had put together and designed this sales enablement system, if you will, that I titled the Simple System. And it was this idea of being focused on metrics and different quarterly rocks that would help you to achieve your long-term goals, but not by focusing on the long-term goals, by truly understanding the different pieces of funnel development and moving patients through the journey of being identified for this therapy and then ultimately getting the therapy. And so I wanted to find out about how this particular doctor was doing with the metrics that we were focused on. And he responded with the fact that he'd have to check Salesforce. And I was completely fine with that, because I'd like to see that as well. So when we got to the location, he pulled out his laptop and logged into Salesforce and started to try and look for the information that I had requested. Now, as he was looking for this information, it was obvious that he doesn't spend a lot of time in the system, because he didn't automatically know where to go to get this information. But I helped him out. We eventually got there and got the information that we needed. So headed off into the doctor's office. And once inside, we waited and waited for the doctor to spend some time with us. So eventually the doctor found some time and met with us in his office. We exchanged pleasantries, and then I waited to see how the rep would transition to a business discussion. Well, it never happened. Within a few minutes, the doc let us know that he had to take a virtual consult and thanked us for coming in. It was ultimately an epic fail, and the rep started to spiral quickly. Now, I didn't say a word other than just suggested that maybe we should grab some lunch. The rep agreed, and we drove to a popular lunch spot in the area. When the hostess sat us, the rep excused himself to go use the bathroom. Now, I checked some emails, sipped on my iced tea, kind of went through my phone a little bit. And next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from the rep that just excused himself. He informed me that he wasn't feeling well and needed to leave the restaurant. Just like that, he left me there. He was nice enough to leave my suitcase with the hostess, but he was out. He was gone. He wasn't able to deal with whatever it is we were about to discuss at lunch. Now, this isn't where this story ends. There is more to it, and I will finish it. I will tell it. I will finish it at another time because it actually turns out really well. But the point of emphasis has already been made. And it's that until you are made aware of what you are leaving on the table, you have no idea. Ignorance is blissful, no doubt. But it seeps in and breeds mediocrity because nobody is there to ensure new standards are being established and enforced. And this is why it's so important to keep everybody on their game. Not just the people that are falling off, not just the people that are doing well. Everybody should be held to the same standard of individual development. Now, here's the part that stings. Preparation doesn't always cost you failure. It costs you greatness. That customer who was close to buying or referring your way, that manager that almost gave you a shot, that investor that was 90% of the way there. You didn't lose because you were bad. You lost because you were lazy when nobody was looking. The results are public. The results you see, everybody sees, those are public, those are in plain sight. But it's the preparation done and performed in private when nobody is watching. That is where the beauty and the magic are created. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's been a little while since I put one of these out. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you checked out this episode. And as always, I want you to remember, this life is what you make of it. The future you is waiting patiently to meet the current you. Continue to work to find your tomorrow in today and keep the promises you make to yourself. Until we meet again, eyes wide, see everything. Goodbye.